I don't know if MAGA is ever going to realize that Donald Trump is hurting them, not helping them. That may never happen. But until that point, we're going to continue to see stories like this. We just learned recently that an Iranian immigrant was detained by ICE. The catch is they're a Trump supporter. They're MAGA. We see stories like this all the time where Trump supporters are having their businesses raided by ICE. Trump supporters themselves are getting detained and sent to detention facilities. And yet, MAGA still stands by Trump, thinking that it'll never happen to me until it does. So I want to break down this story for you. But first and foremost, I want to point out that Tom Homan, the ICE director, the ICE czar, recently admitted in an interview with MSNBC that he's rounding up people without criminal records, just very proudly announcing this. Border czar Tom Homan once again admitted with complete confidence that many of the people arrested in recent ICE raids have zero criminal history. An MSNBC host asked him recently, does everyone that has been arrested by ICE agents have a criminal record like you've described? And he responded confidently, absolutely not. Homan and ICE continue to operate their draconian deportation campaign with impunity, rounding up anyone they can find to get their arrest and deportation numbers up. As of June 1st, there were 7,781 people in ICE detention with no criminal record, almost 8,000 people sitting there with no criminal record. Tom Homan later said, as I've said from day one, January 20th, we will prioritize public safety threats and national security threats. However, we will enforce the law. We're going to enforce immigration law, especially in sanctuary cities. It's just interesting that he's so insistent on enforcing the law for people who are paying their taxes, working a job, and giving back to their communities. But Donald Trump, the convicted felon, has Tom Homan's full support. Now let's dive into this story, which is just so absurd. We know that non-criminals are being rounded up by the Trump administration, and thus we're getting headlines like this. Let's dive in here. The heavily pregnant wife of an ex-Iranian army soldier detained by federal immigration agents told Newsweek that her husband supports Donald Trump and that he never tried to hide his military service. Ribvar Karimi, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly, was apprehended by ICE on June 22nd in Alabama, according to his family. The Department of Homeland Security said that Karimi, 26, served as a sniper in the Iranian army from 2018 to 2021. He entered the U.S. on a K-1 fiancé visa in October of 2024, but failed to adjust his immigration status as required, making him subject to removal. His 30-year-old wife, Morgan Karimi, told Newsweek in an interview, "My husband himself, even being from Iran, supported Donald Trump, his immigration policies, and understood he was trying to protect the American people and was praying he helped free the Iranian people." So this is somebody that actually supported Donald Trump's immigration policies. Now, I can never understand how that's the case. I mean, he's on a K-1 fiancé visa, which apparently expired, and he failed to adjust his immigration status, and yet he still supported Donald Trump's immigration policies, which are targeting him and his family. I don't understand. Quote, he believed in him as well regarding his support of Donald Trump. My husband is from the Kurdish region of Iran, where the people are good people and desperate for freedom from the regime. In a statement to Newsweek, a spokesperson for the DHS said Karimi failed to change his status and is removable from the United States, and that Donald Trump and Secretary Noem are not going to ignore the rule of law. Again, they'll ignore it when it's Donald Trump, but I digress. And here is Karimi and his wife. You can see him. He's on the left. He's wearing an American flag hoodie. He is very much a supporter of Donald Trump. It's wild. Morgan Karimi, who met him through the video game Call of Duty in 2020, stressed her husband's loyalty to the United States, saying his first purchase was a U.S. American flag. Quote, this man wears the American flag proudly, and it's a shame that someone who is so proud to be here is at risk of being robbed of building the life he dreamed of for so long. His groom's cake at our wedding was an American flag cake. Morgan, who is 7.5 months pregnant with their first child, is expected to give birth. So she's expected to give birth relatively soon at the time of filming this, and her husband is currently being detained by the Trump administration because he failed to adjust his status. There's no leeway with the Trump administration. If you fail to adjust your status, if you do just something minor, there's some minor incorrectness in the paperwork, you will be deported. Rivvar Karimi does not currently work, and Morgan said they were focused on her complicated pregnancy, during which doctors detected fluid in the baby's lungs and heart. She says the health issues have delayed the couple's filing of his adjustment status and the paperwork they had ready to send in at the time of his arrest. However, ICE showed up before they were given the opportunity. ICE first went to her parents' home and then showed up at hers, and they said that they've cooperated fully. Again, no leeway with the Trump administration. You could have all your documents ready. You could have a child on the way. You could have no criminal record, and yet you will be deported. It is draconian. It's disgusting. It is such a weird time that we're living in here in the United States, where we just get headlines like this all the time. And let me be clear, I obviously disagree with this man on his political views. He supports Donald Trump. I do not, but I don't think he should be deported simply for failing to adjust his status. And let me be clear, we're not just seeing individual stories like this and people's lives, Trump supporters' lives being ruined by Donald Trump. We're seeing this across the country. Here's another one. A Trump supporter's business was raided by ICE after a tip-off, the Department of Homeland Security said. And this Trump supporter had his business ruined. Many of his employees have been taken and deported from his company, and he's on thin ice. The Department of Homeland Security said that federal agents received a tip ahead of an enforcement operation that led to a supporter of Donald Trump losing a third of his workforce. 5 workers for a roofing company in Florida were apprehended by federal immigration agents in the Lower Keys on May 27th after being stopped by ICE and Border Patrol. Quote, ICE received a tip about A-Plus Roofing's employment of undocumented immigrants in Key West, Florida, the DHS Assistant Secretary told Newsweek. DHS agents conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle displaying the company's decal and discovered 5 employees inside who lacked legal immigration status. And then subsequently, those people were deported. They were detained on the spot and deported. So all these different Trump supporters across the country are having their lives just completely ruined by Donald Trump. Their businesses are getting shut down. They themselves have supported Trump and his immigration policies. Again, that makes no sense to me, but regardless, they themselves are getting arrested with children on the way. And it's just happening everywhere. And that's why I started this video by saying, I wonder if these Trump supporters are now coming to the realization that Donald Trump does not care about them. As long as Donald Trump has a number to flex on the national stage and say, hey, I got all these people out of the country, I followed my campaign promise, then he's happy. But Donald Trump does not care that it's not just a number. Those are people's lives, right? Those are people's livelihoods. Those are their families. Those are their loved ones. He doesn't care. He just looks at it and says, oh, big number, I like it. And that's that for Donald Trump. So I wonder if these stories will ever just break through and make these folks realize that, wow, somebody who's targeting members of my community, my family, hardworking folks who are paying taxes and giving back to their communities, maybe that's not the best strategy. Maybe that's not the best policy position to make the United States a successful country. Will that ever happen? Probably not. I'm not going to hold my breath, but we can only hope, right? So anyway, I will leave the video there. I just had to show you this story. It's so insane. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it very much. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Drop a like on the video, comment. Let me know what you think about this story. Definitely, I want to hear from you. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.